lunar robotics. That's what we're diving into today. And, well, we've got an interview with Shinichiro Nakajima.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's got this amazing, really cost-effective lunar rover he built, Yaochai. And get this rover is so smart and so cool that it got NASA's attention.
Wow.
Yeah, and Nakajima actually landed a contract to put this rover on the moon.
It really is incredible seeing how someone like that can really shake things up. I mean, it makes you wonder what this means for the future of lunar research. You know, could this spark a wave of like all these new discoveries?
It's such a good question. So who is this guy? Well, he was originally part of this team, Hakuto.
Right.
And they competed for the Google Lunar X Prize, which was that competition to land a rover on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Privately funded, right?
Right.
They didn't end up winning, but that's okay. Nakajima decided to go solo, and that's how Yaoki was born.
Even though they didn't win, that experience working on that Hakuto team must have given him some amazing insights into, building a lunar rover.
Totally. Okay, so let's talk about Yaoki. It's this super cool two-wheeled rover.
Uh-huh.
Which, it goes against tradition, right?
Yeah.
Usually, rovers have 4 wheels, but this one's self-riding with only 2.
Wow.
And it's tiny.
Really?
Only 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters and under 10 kilograms.
It's amazing how important that is, keeping it lightweight like that.
Yeah. Every kilogram adds so much cost to a mission.
Right.
So keeping it small and light was key.
Yeah.
And speaking of the wheels, they're rounded.
Okay.
Which is really cool because it helps it not sink into the lunar dust.
Ah, interesting.
Minimizes energy loss, too, which is really important.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also got a camera and a communication system.
Of course.
And, well, it needs power, right?
Yeah.
So it's got a solar panel for that.
It's amazing how much functionality they pack into such a small design,
Right. And the solar panel is really important because it'll be operating for quite a while on the moon.
Yeah.
Now, get this. Yaoke isn't alone up there. It's actually designed to work with this, also unconventional, lander called Shichitan.
Interesting. So what's so different about Shichitan?
Well, it doesn't have the typical leg-based landing system that we usually see. It's round.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's designed to roll and self-right when it lands.
So how does that work?
So picture this. Shichitan is using reverse thrusters to come down.
Okay.
But instead of those legs, it just uses its shape to sort of tumble until it's upright.
So it's like a self-righting bowling pin, kind of.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
And of course, like Yaokai, it's covered in solar panels.
Makes sense.
And what's super cool is that Yaokai can actually move Shichitan around.
What? Really?
Yeah, to make sure the solar panels are always getting the most sunlight.
So they're like a little team working together up there on the moon.
I love it. It's such a smart and resourceful approach.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, his whole development philosophy is DIY, do-it-yourself.
Wow.
So he does everything, the design, the software, all of it.
That's a big part of what makes him so successful, right?
Because he has total control of every single detail.
And he doesn't have to worry about teams miscommunicating or anything because it's just him.
Exactly. He can really see the limits of his designs because he's so involved.
Right.
Oh, and get this. He builds all this incredible tech with stuff like 3D printers, Raspberry Pi, Arduino, stuff anyone can get.
Wow.
It shows you that you don't need a fancy lab to achieve groundbreaking things.
It's amazing how much technology has been democratized, These tools are empowering people to tackle huge challenges.
And that's what he's all about, open source design. So letting people copy, improve, and build on his work.
I love that. So many possibilities.
It's like lunar Legos for the future of space exploration.
What a great way to put it. He's basically created a blueprint for innovation, inviting everyone to join in.
Okay, now get ready for this. This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Nakajima believes these little rovers could become what he calls lunar aliens.
Lunar aliens?
Yeah, through self-replication and adapting, using AI and 3D printing.
Oh, wow.
So he's thinking about sending multiple rovers up there that can work together, explore, and even repair each other.
Creating their own little robotic society.
It's like straight out of science fiction.
It might seem like that, but the basic principles make sense, right? I mean, we're already seeing AI-powered self-repair and some self-replication even here on Earth.
Wow, it's true. So how does this connect to NASA?
Well, his work on Yaoki was so impressive that he landed a contract with a venture working directly with NASA.
No way.
Yeah, and this little rover is actually going to be on the moon soon.
That's phenomenal. It just shows you that innovation can come from anywhere.
Absolutely. It also shows that NASA is open to these new approaches and working with smaller teams.
This whole rover story doesn't stop there either. Those lunar aliens, remember?
Yeah.
Well, they're connected to a bigger project called Avatar X.
Oh, tell me more about that.
So Avatar X is this initiative by ANA, All Nippon Airways, and JXA, which is the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. They're all about using avatars for space exploration.
So like a remote-controlled human out there in space.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
And his rover totally fits into this vision. It's like a little mobile avatar controlled from Earth.
Oh.
They're even testing it at a special lunar test site in Oita, Japan.
It's amazing how all these things are coming together, you know?
It really is like a puzzle. And then there's another piece to this puzzle.
Okay.
Remember how he talked about having that burst of creative energy?
Yeah.
He credits his time at Zenschool with helping him develop Yaoki.
Zenschool. Interesting. What's that all about?
It's this unique place that combines Zen philosophy and innovative thinking. And he says that while he was there, he experienced a brain explosion.
A brain explosion.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Okay.
It's this big burst of energy and ideas.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, Zen is all about calming the mind so you can have those breakthroughs.
That's pretty fascinating, right?
Yeah. I'm really curious to hear more about the Zen school.
Me too.
Really makes you think, you know, how experiences from such different parts of life can come together to create something so innovative.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
just goes to show you that the best ideas often come from thinking outside the box. And remember how Nakajima talked about wanting to change the way things are developed?
Yeah. Like making it more accessible, right?
Exactly. A more open model where anyone with the passion and drive can contribute.
That's exciting. What would that look like?
He's actually said that he's going to publish the blueprints for Yaoke.
Wow, really?
Yeah, as soon as the patent process is done.
That's amazing. Imagine anyone could build their own lunar rover.
It's like he's saying, here are the tools, go explore.
That's a huge change from how space exploration has been, you know, all secretive.
Totally. It makes you think, what will this mean for the future of science? Will we see discoveries happening faster? Will there be all sorts of new designs and approaches?
Such good questions. It's not just talk for him either.
Oh, yeah.
He actually put this open source idea into practice at an exhibition in Fukushima.
Interesting. Tell me more.
He set up this sandbox with Yaoke and let people play with it, even if it meant they might break it.
Wow, that's bold. Letting people mess with a prototype like that.
I know, right? But it shows how much he values real-world feedback. He's not afraid to experiment.
He even said he wanted to see it break because he knew where the weak points were.
Smart. Using the public as beta testers.
And guess what? Kids were amazing at controlling it.
Really?
Especially when it flipped over and the controls reversed.
Kids are so adaptable, aren't they?
They just jumped right in and figured it out. It makes you wonder, what if we encouraged that kind of playful exploration more in education?
It's really inspiring to see that kind of curiosity and how it leads to amazing things.
Speaking of unexpected things, remember how he was originally part of that team for the Google Lunar XK Rise?
Yeah?
Well, back then, he had a totally different design.
Oh.
It was also two-wheeled, and he was so passionate about it. But the team rejected his idea.
What?
I guess they just weren't on board. But you know what? That rejection fueled his determination.
A classic underdog story.
Totally. He took that rejection and turned it into fuel to prove his concept.
It's really inspiring, you know? Sometimes setbacks can lead to even greater innovation.
And it's not just about the rover. It's his whole approach to engineering.
What do you mean?
He believes engineers should be well-rounded, capable of handling all parts of a project.
Like a jack of all trades.
Exactly. He's even teaching himself software development and electronics, even though his background is in mechanical design.
It's incredible how he's always learning and adapting.
Yeah.
That's a true innovator.
Yeah. He doesn't want to just specialize. He wants to understand the whole system.
Right. So he can see how everything fits together.
And you can see that in the OKI, right? Everything works together so seamlessly.
Yeah. It's definitely a system where each part relies on the others.
I love how he calls it a lunar robot and not just a rover.
What's the difference?
It's like he sees it as more than a machine, like an extension of himself out there.
Yeah.
And remember how he talked about it becoming a lunar alien? That's connected to how he sees robotics and AI advancing.
He's thinking way ahead.
He sees a future where robots can learn, adapt, and even replicate. It's almost like a new form of life out there on the moon.
That's a wild thought.
Okay, so let's talk about the Shakitan lander.
Okay.
It's just as unconventional as Yaoki, remember? It doesn't have those typical legs, it's round.
Right. And self-righting.
like a lunar tumbleweed.
I love that he just embraces the idea of it tipping over.
It's all about cost effectiveness, right?
Yes, for sure.
By keeping the design simple, he reduces the weight and complexity, which saves money.
And that rounded shape is perfect for those solar panels, too.
It's amazing how he thinks about every little detail, always trying to maximize functionality while minimizing waste.
That minimalist approach is something we can all learn from, you know?
It is. It's like he stripped away all the unnecessary stuff and just focused on function.
And that's what makes his work so cool. It's not about being flashy, it's about solving problems and pushing the boundaries of exploration.
He just thought, what's the simplest way to do this? And the answer was, let it roll.
And it works. That same thinking is there in Yaokai's wheels, too.
They look kind of strange, but they're super efficient.
How so?
Well, they use less energy, which is important because it's solar powered,
Right.
and they keep it from getting stuck in the lunar dust. Plus, they even help it flip back over if it rolls over.
Huh.
It's almost like he got the idea from watching tumbleweeds or something.
Ah, like biomimicry, using nature for inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Nature has already solved so many problems. Why not learn from it?
It's amazing how he combines ancient wisdom with cutting-edge tech. And speaking of, remember how he talked about zenschool?
Yeah.
That brain explosion he had that led to Yaokai?
It's crazy to think that sometimes innovation comes from unexpected places. Like, who would have thought meditation could help design a lunar rover?
It really shows that sometimes you need a different perspective to get those breakthroughs.
So what do we learn from all this? From Nakajima and his journey?
It's a lesson in empowerment, don't you think?
Yeah. He's showing us that anyone can contribute to space exploration. It doesn't have to be just big organizations with tons of money.
Exactly. With passion and ingenuity, anyone can reach for the stars.
It's about taking charge and believing in your ability to create and innovate.
And that's not limited to space, is it?
No, not at all. It applies to everything. We can all learn from this, to think outside the box and not be afraid to try new things.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the smallest places, like a garage workshop or even a quiet moment of thinking.
So, as you go on your own journey, remember Shinichiro Nakajima and his lunar rover.
And ask yourself, what's your dream? What impossible thing are you going to make happen?
Because if a single engineer with a 3D printer can land a rover on the moon, imagine what you can do. This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.